Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit of a change up. I'm gonna be grading announcers, and I've heard all of these guys and the analysts too. The analysts are what you really want to listen to because the play-by-play is only as good as the analyst. If the analyst is bad, you're kinda not gonna do well if you're a play-by-play. You're just there to call the game and not sound like terrible. So yeah. That's how I'm going to be grading these guys, but it should be fun. I love listening to announcers. They're fun. But either way, guys, going to throw a little bit of change. I hope you guys like and subscribe. And who is your favorite announcer and analyst in the NFL out of every single one? Monday Night Football is not in. Other than that, though, hope you guys like it. Let's get right into it. Guys, like and subscribe. This should be really fun. Okay, the categories S, the best analysts and announcers, they're rare. You're not gonna find many good ones. Yeah, the Pat Summeralls, the John Maddens, they're above here, but it's hard to find them. Here are all the names. I'll probably need them too. There's a couple guys. There's Tom McCarthy, Spiro Diaz, Jay Feely will be on here too. Wait, who's Trent Green? Yeah, Trent Green is right here. This is Trent Green. This is Jay Feely. I just had to say that because some of these guys are really confused. A, really good announcers. You're not going to find many of these guys either. B, solid announcers. There's nothing really bad about them. C, they're average or they're cheesy. So some of these guys will just be average announcers. Some of them will be really cheesy. That's all I do. D, they're just not great announcers. Not very good at their job. There's a couple of these guys that aren't that good. A lot of them are C or cheesy. And then some of these guys, how the heck do they have a job? Well, there's a reason they have a job. But, of course, first one, Tony Romo. I don't know why he's first, but he's the best analyst in football. He's really good at his job. He makes a lot of good calls. He gets right to the point. He's kind of like I like to think of him as John Madden, but he's a little more in depth. I love listening to him. Him and Jim Nantz are probably the best crew in the league, but he's great for CBS. Love how they have him as their number one guy. He's great. Played quarterback. He's the best analyst in football. Does his job right. That's about it. Kurt Warner, he's an analyst. He's about average. Nothing against him, but he hasn't really said anything where I'm entertained when I watch the games he's had on NFL Network. It's kind of been he said a couple things. He said the play, but he hasn't made it really that interesting. So that's why he's there. Kevin Harlan, my favorite announcer. I gotta give him an A. Yeah, no, not S. He's an A. He's a great announcer. He does basketball too. There's a reason people like to listen to him. Here's why he's not he's cheesy, really cheesy. But he's interesting. It's fun to listen to him. It's only so cheesy. People you don't take him seriously. But if I'm watching a game and Kevin Harlan's announcing, I'll watch the game because it's fun to watch. Usually the games he's called, he's great at announcing. He doesn't overstate it. But he's really good at his job. He's not just cheesy, but the way he calls the games is just phenomenal. Greg Gumbel, he's a good announcer. I want to put him in C. I don't really find him that interesting, but it just seems like he doesn't overreact. He doesn't do anything wrong. He makes some great calls. When you hear him call the game, it's he's a really good announcer. This is Adam Archuleta, right? Adam Archuleta is not good. I heard him, I watched his game. He could explain some plays, but there's some plays, I could explain it better than him. He's not good. It's hard. He kind of does what Greg Gumbel does. He, explains the play, but, why does it happen? Why? He's not that in depth. He doesn't make it interesting either. If you're not in depth, but you make it interesting, people are going to listen. He doesn't do either. I don't like him. He's not, terrible, but he's not very good. Kenny Albert's cheesy. He's been on there a while. You watch the game, whatever. He's not, bad by any means. He's not great either, though. Jonathan Vilma, same thing. Jonathan Vilma is better than Adam Archuleta to the point where he explains the play, but it's not interesting. He doesn't do it that well, but he's decent. Andrew Catalon, same thing. He's a little cheesy. I've, seen some of his calls. He's a pretty good announcer, but there's a reason he's where he is as a back announcer, but he's a good announcer. I gotta admit that. He's called some good games. Sometimes he doesn't You hear him, he like, touchdown! Like, his voice, he's a really good voice. That's part of it, too. His voice is really good. And he just does his job. That's about it. He's not He's not as good as Greg Gumbel, but he's not bad. James Lofton, I like him. Yeah, he's B. James Lofton's a good analyst. He's not like a very good analyst, but he explains the play. I understand what he's trying to say, and yeah, that's about it. If you're gonna watch a football game and if you don't really know much about football, I'd want James Lofton as my analyst. He explains it very simple, and it's just expressing the play. He's not being like Tony Romo. He's not gonna like predict things. He's not gonna make it super interesting, but he'll tell you the play as simple as he can. Kevin Kugler. I like Kevin Kugler. He's a decent announcer. Here's the only problem. Not very special at all. He's not. I'm not saying he's he's good, fun to listen to, but there's no plays where you're like, whoa, yeah, like it's like really fun. It's not really like that. Mark Sanchez, he's not great. He talks a lot about stuff that's off the field, which I'm fine with. But when he's describing how a play happens, I think there's a lot of guys that do it better than him. And he's kind of like Adam Archuleta, where he doesn't explain it very well, and it's not really that interesting. And he doesn't really make the best, like I said, explanations. But it's more the fact, some of the stuff he said, that was a bad throw because of this. And he doesn't explain every single part of that. And as a result, it's not going to be as good. Joe Buck, he's a terrible announcer, honestly. No emotion. He doesn't make it sound cool. But here's why he's here. The only reason he has a job and Fox's he's mediocre. I don't know why he has. The only reason he has a job is because his dad, Jack Buck, is one of the best play-by-play announcers in sports history. He was phenomenal. But Joe is not great at all. I'll listen to it. I have to, because if your team's on NFC and they're on national television, you listen to Joe Buck or Kevin Burkhardt. He's not great. I don't know why he has a job, and yeah, that's about it. Next guy, Gus Johnson. Here you go.
4th down and 18. Nebraska going for it. Martinez steps up, throws. Oh, what an interception! Oh my gosh, DJ Graham, give me that, Odell.
Gus Johnson is basically the definition of cheese. He makes me cringe when he calls a big play. It's so funny. It's funny. It's really funny. He's really fun to listen to. He's like, oh my goodness. But he's so cheesy that it just makes me cringe. It's so funny. Entertainment-wise, he's S, but he's not. He's just so cheesy. Ian Eagle, he's really cheesy too, but he makes the call sound a lot better. You listen to it and you're like, whoa, that's good. He's a good announcer, really good one. That's why he's in the second team for CBS. Charles Davis, I want to put him in D, but he is a good analyst. I gotta give him that. A lot of the stuff he says is really obvious. He got open because he cut that way, or the corner wasn't expecting it. He explains it so obviously. Can you at least make it a little more entertaining? Really obvious, but whatever. He's on Madden. I guess he's decent. Kevin Burkhardt, he's really cheesy too. His phrase is, he's got it. I hear that a lot, and it's kind of annoying. But he's a good announcer. He's entertaining. Greg Olsen, we haven't really seen much of him. I'd say he's good, but I'm going to keep him in C. If he was phenomenal, his first season, you listen to him, you're like, yeah, he'd be A. He's not Tony Romo off the bat. You knew was a great analyst. We haven't really seen that much from Greg Olsen. He hasn't really done anything bad by any means. He hasn't made any bad calls, but he hasn't been great either. We haven't really seen much from him. I'll make my decision next year. This is Trent Green. Trent Green, he's a good analyst, in my opinion. Here's why though. There's that Rondé Barber. That might be Rondé Barber. No, that's Jonathan Vilma. That's Rondé Barber. But, where is he? Trent Green, he was a quarterback. He knows what's happening. After Kevin Harlan makes a great call, he explains it right off to the bat. He's really good with that, but he could be better. That's basically it. Who is this? Oh yeah, Daryl Johnston. I'd say he's good too. He's really good at explaining pressures, blocking schemes, all this stuff, how teams have evolved from it. He's really good with like the inter-trenches stuff that a lot of these other analysts aren't great at. I know he's a hard worker because he knows what he's talking about when game happens. He's big. Chris Myers, good announcer. Like, you're not gonna get much better guys than him. Yeah, is he cheesy? He's very cheesy. But want to know why he's here? Because he's made some great calls. He doesn't try to call the game like out of the like crazy. He makes the game what it is, a good game. And if it's a bad game, he just makes it a bad game. Like the way he calls the game depends on how the game is. That's what I think a good announcers do. Spiro Diaz is the definition of average. He's not good. He's not bad. He's just about average. Jay Feely, decent too. Like, he's bounced around. He's never really been bad, I'd say. He calls the game the way he's supposed to. He's not great, but that's about it. Troy Aikman is D. He just doesn't really do anything to make me impressed. When I watch him, he just explains, like, whatever, blah, 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 blah. He's kind of boring, honestly. He doesn't really know some of the stuff that's happening out there, and it's kind of annoying. Like, I've watched Rams games where he tells us what happens, like Matthew Stafford gets hit. That's why it was an interception. But he doesn't like show that he blames it on Matthew Stafford. That pick 6 he threw, he blamed it on Matthew Stafford. It was really Cooper Kupp's fault for not looking back at the ball and saying I'm not open. It was really like Cooper Kupp's fault, but he made it to seem that it was Matt Stafford. Those are the plays I'm talking about. He gets the calls wrong. Rondé Barber, I mean, he's just not that good at his job. I'm trying to be honest. I've seen a lot of the games with Kenny Albert. He's been decent. Like, there's been some good calls and there's been some bad calls. He's pretty inconsistent. Akeem Tully doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, sorry, he doesn't know what he's talking about. There are these there's sacks. He doesn't say a word, or he says the same thing Gus Johnson says. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's about it. Al Michaels, he's a really good announcer. He's been for his, like, you watch it, you can't complain about him. Like, yeah, you could say he's a little boring. He doesn't make the craziest calls, but my goodness, he's a really good announcer. Mike Tirico, you know what? Yeah, he's really good too. Mike Tirico, he'll probably be the Sunday Night Football announcer next year. I'm fine with it. He's done his job. He's really good. Yeah, that's about it. Chris Collinsworth, he's a good, but the thing is, he tries to, like, make it seem like it's really good every single time. He tries to, like, overdo it, I'd say. He's not very good, I'd say. But he puts in a lot of effort, I'll give him that. And also, he does explain plays really well sometimes. Give him that, too. Drew Brees, I honestly think it could be a great analyst. We only seen him announce, like, a couple games. From college, oh, yeah, he's here. He's here for college. But I haven't really seen a ton from him. I've seen him do college games. He's been great with Mike Tirico, so I'll put him in B. Really just explains the whole play. He does a lot with the footwork. That's what I like. The footwork in college is a big thing. He talks about that. And then in the NFL with the Bills, he's like, Josh Allen threw this there because he got hit, blah, 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 blah. He does his job right. Nothing bad about it. But we've only seen him play. We haven't seen a big sample size, so we'll keep him there. Adam Amin, decent announcer. Like, that's about it. He's average. Joe Davis, he's D. Joe Davis is annoying. Not just, like, his voice is really annoying, but some of the calls he makes could be better. That's what they could be better. Instead of him being, like, so dramatic, like his voice raises up, instead, like, Gus Johnson is so cheesy because his voice is the same pitch. His goes up and down. It can get really annoying. Mark Schlereth, he was an offensive lineman. You have an offensive lineman. You're going to have a good analyst. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, he's big. He's a really good analyst. Like, offensive linemen should be analysts because they know, like, the stuff that other guys don't know. Like, Drew Brees and Tony Romo are both really good. Probably these three are probably the three best analysts because they know what they're talking about, really. Offensive lineman would be a good analyst, but he really knows what's happening at the line of scrimmage and why this happens, blah, 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 blah. He's been good. Jim Nantz, you know what? Yeah, he's an S tier. He's probably the best announcer in football. He's laid back. He's not Gus Johnson. He really just keeps the game what it is, a good game. If it's a bad game, he makes it seem like it's a bad game. Like, oh no, he's going down. He calls the game really well. That's about it. He's just, it's like you're watching the game. It's like that guy's good at his job. Tom McCarthy, oh gosh, he's like there's really no expression. You watch the game, like you're not really listening to him. Like you're watching the game, you're in the game, not really listening to him. Some of these other guys like Gus Johnson or Kevin Burkhardt or even Joe Buck, they're actually in the game. Tom McCarthy, you're not really like paying attention. But either way, guys, this is the announcer tier list for 2022. A lot of good ones. Like, it's hard to have a really good announcer and analyst. There's some great announcers, but, like, cheesy. Like, you don't want to listen to a ton of cheesy guys. They're great. Like, Kevin Harlan's super cheesy, but either way, guys, like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is the 2022 NFL announcer tier rankings.